Lisa is going to be part of this video. But, oh my goodness. I feel like a little bit of a hillbilly with my hat like this. If you can't see my eyes, that means I'm just shifty today. Anyhow, I am in Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument today, which is in southern Arizona. And I brought along a lens, which I think I will just show you in a different clip that I'll record at home so you can actually see what it looks like. Anyhow, I am on about an 8-mile hike potentially to check out an abandoned mine in a place called the Lost Cabin, and I'm going to give this lens a little test today to see how it performs out here. But first, let's take a close look at this lens. Alright, here's a quick rundown of this Fujinon 55mm lens. It goes from f/16 to f1.8. It has really cool little colors on it. Now, the one thing about this lens that is a hassle is when I put it on this adapter, it becomes very difficult to adjust the aperture ring. So I have to loosen it up, then move it around. But that is more of a problem with the adapter as opposed to the lens itself. Hello, kitty. Focus ring on this is really nice and smooth. Allows me to kind of dial into where I want to focus and get some pretty good shots with it. And that cactus you see behind me, that is the namesake of this national monument, the Organ Pipe Cactus. They only grow in parts of northern Mexico and this part of Arizona, so they are kind of rare, which is why they are being preserved. We'll be seeing a few more of these today, as well as our good friends of Saguaro and Ocotillo, and this plant, and those plants, all sorts of plants and rocks. Lots and lots of rocks. And here are a few shots from the first part of my hike out at Organ Pipe. These are edited photos, so we're not going to be looking at the raw files today. As you can see, the focus is really nice on this. Here is a dead cactus. Really good detail of this lens. Here is some sort of dead thing on the floor of the desert that kind of looks like a gas mask. And here's a few cactus kind of standing around. This one's got his hands on his hips, probably very disappointed with another cactus. And here's another shot of a bunch of saguaros. If you're wondering how tall these Organ Pipe cactus can get, keep in mind I'm 6'2", so I'm a fairly tall person, but that thing towers over me. Here is a shot of an Organ Pipe cactus and a saguaro cactus. Keep in mind that I was shooting about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so some of the lighting is not the absolute best for landscape photography, but that's when I happen to be there. All right, we are at, I think, the side of the Victoria mine as I see some mine-tailing mounds and some signs of ruins, so I'm gonna wander over and see what we got here. All right. Got ourselves some actual genuine ruins, including this metal wheelie thing and a stone cabin. So I'm going to take some photos of these things and we'll look at the results in a bit. Here is that metal wheel that was right at the edge of the trail. As you see, this is extra sharp. So you'll get a really nice focus on that. Here is a stone cabin. It's one of the few ruins that is left over. Once again, very pleased with the detail involved. The lens is performing quite nicely. Here is from another angle. I do sometimes wonder if I need to re-edit these, if the colors look quite right. Sometimes I go back like years later and do it, but we shall see if I ever bother getting around to that. Here is a young organ pipe cactus growing next to the concrete. And once again, quite pleased with all the detail of this in this photo. Up to this point, I am very happy with how this lens is performing on this hike. Here are some of the photos I took between the Victoria mine and the Lost Cabin mine. This is a close-up shot of a little bolt I found in the ground. Pretty good detail. You can even see a little spider web here. I believe I was probably shooting f4 at this point. Here's another organ pipe cactus kind of doing a little wave there to the rest of the desert. Here is a panoramic view. I believe I stitched 3 photos together to create this one. Once again, if you're out with like a 50 or 55mm lens, it is possible to get wide angle lenses by stitching together everything in Photoshop. You just got to have a steady hand. Definitely look up videos on how to do this. It's a very good skill to have, especially if you're out there with just a single lens. Here is a hillside shot of some organ pipe cactus and a little skeleton here at the bottom. Another shot from a different angle. Once again, I'm very pleased with the focus on this and detail involved. And another organ pipe cactus. You're getting the impression that I'm actually at Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument. And a cholla cactus with its many, many needles. Yet another cactus of the organ pipe variety. And here is a close-up of a cholla. I can kind of see how the bokeh works in the background, bouquet or whatever you want to call it. Once again, it's able to get a nice kind of artsy, soft feel to it, creamy background. Really pleased with that. All right, I am at the Lost Cabin Mine, which features presumably a lost cabin. Another one of those rock buildings that's kind of crumbling over time, which I'll get a few pictures of here shortly. Up in the hillside there is the actual mine, which I'm not going to wander up to because it's fenced off and holes in the ground aren't that interesting to me. Anyways, I'm just over 4 miles into the hike and I'm ready for a snack. I brought with me some trail mix and energy bar and whatnot, so I need to fuel up and drink some fluids and enjoy the scenery here. This is really amazing. I absolutely love Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument. It's one of the special places in Arizona and the whole country. I figured as the sun starts to get a little bit lower as I walk back home, I'll probably take some more photos of the scenery, have better lighting for it. Anyhow, it's munching time. Here are the shots I took at the Lost Cabin mine site, more specifically the actual Lost Cabin. As has been the case throughout this hike and some of the photos resulting from it, I am very pleased with the results. It's easy to get pretty good focus in this. The color rendering is quite nice. Whether I'm shooting things that are further away or a little bit closer up like these cactus, I'm very happy with how it all turned out. There were quite a few interesting things at the mine site to take pictures of. Might be the only example where shooting at f8, some of the distant objects were a little bit out of focus, but that's okay. Oh, one of the nice things about this hike today is I have seen exactly 0 people, which is just how I like it. I never know if I should mention this in the video or not, but I am mere miles from the Mexican border and the border eyesore. And I just want to mention that I've been down here many times over the last few years. This is a very peaceful, safe place to be. There's a lot of misconceptions about what it's like near the border here in Arizona. And although there are problems in certain areas, and you always got to be cautious, and that includes being in, you could be in Fargo, North Dakota, you need to be cautious of your surroundings. But this is a safe place. And I never want anybody to feel discouraged about coming out here to explore, because it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a unique ecosystem that you're not going to see anywhere else in the world. It is a bit of a drive from Tucson or Phoenix, but in my opinion, it's absolutely worth it. What are the real risks out here, you might ask? It's these cactus. They will get you. They drop their little cactus needle-filled droppings everywhere. You gotta wash in the trails. They'll get in your feet, they'll get in your skin, and they are tough to get out. So keep your distance from these guys. That is the true dangers of the desert. I'm just trying to provide some helpful travel tips that are realistic and keep you from getting jabbed. We are progressing along nicely here. We are getting to the one elevation gain that's coming up here behind this bush. It's not too extreme, but about over 5 miles of hiking here, we'll put it that way. Elevation climbs get a little bit harder, so I'll be huffing and puffing, as I probably already am a little bit. These hillsides seem to be where these organ pipe cactus love to grow. They are very particular about their location to plant roots, I guess. So usually in this park, you find one of these hillsides like this. So there's a pretty good sized cluster here. And here's a trail I got to take up. I'm about a half mile from the trailhead where my car is. I'm about 8 miles into this walk, and I am feeling it now. My upper limit tends to be about 8 miles on hikes. And I went and spilled the remainder of my water just a bit ago, so glad I have more water in the car. And there's water at the visitor center. Anyhow, I'm going to sign off for the hiking portion of this lens review. And I'm sure at this point we have seen all sorts of examples of what this lens can do. It is one I really like, other than a couple of its minor flaws. But overall, great lens to take on a long hike. Here are the final set of photos I took on the hike back from Lost Cabin to the trailhead. Got a leaning saguaro here. Once again, I'm very pleased with the focus on this. Another organ pipe cactus. This one's been a bit stripped down by age and weathering. Another photo of the organ pipe cactus on that hillside. And here's another saguaro cactus being goofy. One more photo of the rock ruins by the Victoria mine. And here's a little collection of saguaro next to the organ pipe cactus. And a dead tree in a wash, which is the final picture I took on the hike. The hike itself lasted a little over 8 miles. I'm going to post the stats here, and so you can see how far I walked just to test this lens out only for you. A couple summers ago, I actually used this lens in a photo shoot with a local model named Rose Hawthorn, and I want to just show a few examples of this lens's capabilities for portrait photography. It is a little bit more difficult to get a good focus when you're moving around and the model's moving around and you're trying to get the eyes just right. So not every shot I took during that shoot is a great one. However, when I did nail the focus, I'm very happy with how this turned out. As you can see, the eyes are nice and in focus. That was really up close though. Good old zooming in there. You can see a little bit of the bokeh effect in the background with the vintage chair, kind of the blurriness outside of the depth of field. Here's another shot in landscape orientation. Here's a full body shot. The ISO is a little bit high, so it might look a tad grainy, but very happy with how this all turned out. Here is a black and white shot of Rose. And a kind of artsy photo we took where she sat at my kitchen table, looked out the window. I believe I was using some lighting actually bought at Lowe's for kind of a minimalist DIY approach to photography. I was quite happy with the results from this lens. So if you are into portrait photography and you don't mind the manual focus aspect, this is a great lens for the cause. In summary, I would give this lens a solid A grade. It was excellent to use for my hike. I'm very happy with the results for the landscape photography. And for use in portrait photography in the past, it has done quite a fine job. In the pros category, the focus is good and the glass seems to be of nice high quality, and the construction of the body feels nice and solid. And weight-wise, it is very light, so for a long hike like I did, it was perfect for a single lens to take along. The only con, like I mentioned earlier, is that the lens does not work too well with the lens adapter I happen to be using in this case, but that is not a lens problem, that's a lens adapter problem, and we can overlook that. I did find a copy of this on eBay for about $80 US. I think for a lens of this quality, that is quite a bargain, especially one that is f1.8, so it is nice and fast. This is definitely one I would recommend if putting it into your camera bag if you do come across a copy of it in good shape. And if you like these lens reviews and you also want to watch my videos where I go to randomly generated waypoints to find nothing in the middle of nowhere, please give this video a like, maybe subscribe, leave a comment, and we shall see you in the next one.